Evening, folks. This is Miguel with the Knights of the Nerd Table. As promised, this is our spoilerific review for Captain Marvel. Here joining me tonight is my girl Mags, and of course, OG Jeff is here with us,
back in the house.
So again, guys, remember this is packed full of spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, if you're one of the few who hasn't, check out our first video that I did with Mags, and that's the Fresh Out to Theater review we did. That is basically spoiler-free. This, on the other hand, we're going to be talking about everything, okay?
It's not basically spoiler-free. It is spoiler-free.
It really is.
Right. Other than that Stan Lee thing, which frankly, that's all over the internet now. By the way, that's one of the first things I liked about this movie.
Great opening.
Man, it's like there was like round of applause right away.
Oh, your audience got that too?
Oh yeah. We were hooked. We were hooked as soon as we saw that. Man, it's just class all the way. Thank you, Stan, for everything you've given us.
Damn right.
Absolutely.
That was really nice. It set a really nice tone for the movie. As soon as we're sitting there, everyone just went, "Oh," and everybody just started clapping as soon as they saw that.
Right away.
Well, I don't think anybody really expected it. Because I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, I was hoping for something.
I was thinking like in memory of or thank you of, but that they some little blurb at the start. But the fact that they took that entire opening crawl and just dedicated all of it to Stan, that was class act all the way there.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did that too. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to talk about was, of course, what worked when it came to this movie. So, Jeff, when it comes to what worked for this movie, what are the things that actually stood out to you?
Well, what really worked is we took a character, let's face it, even for comic book nerds, not a lot of us know squat about Captain Marvel. We kind of know of her. The most of us could say is that's where Rogue got her powers from.
Right.
And there's not a lot of history with her, with Marvel, with anything. So, because one of my friends that I've actually seen this more than once now, and the first time around, she was saying, "Well, I don't know anything about this character." And I was just saying, "Well, nobody else does either." So
don't feel bad.
So here we are. So they did a really good job of introducing who this person was and doing a very effective job of filling in the blanks for just about everything. Now, I understand there's differences between the way the comic books do it, but let's face it, MCU, you got it. It's a movie, not 20 years of comic books.
Right. We got 2 hours to sort of pin this down.
Yeah. I thought, despite all the previous controversy went over, I thought Brie Larson did an excellent job with her performance. She had the right mixture of both kind of PTSD.
Yeah.
Not to mention trying to figure out who the hell I am.
Yeah.
And wait, what the hell is going on here? I thought her chemistry with both Sam Jackson and many of the other characters were working.
Yeah.
I thought many of the action set pieces were working. Really, almost everything worked in this movie, start to finish. There were very few flaws and quibbles I actually had with it. Was a very solid entry in the MCU universe.
I think Mags agrees.
Absolutely.
I mean, so that was basically what you were also saying too, babies. That you liked the overall acting,
I really did. Like, I hadn't. You had a problem with Brie Larson's acting.
I did at first. Whenever I thought about it, the biggest problem I had with her acting is I felt like she was being a little too emotionless. But then I realized she was constantly being bitched at by Jude Law's character to control your emotion, control your emotion, control your emotion. Mm-hmm. So basically, she was forced to be in these situations where she didn't want to show her emotions too much because to her, what she was being taught is that shows your vulnerability.
Yeah.
So she was trying to sort of be something in between being tough and being a Vulcan. And so I can kind of get why that's the way she was acting through the first act of the movie. So I get it in retrospective. So yeah, I mean, now that I'll think back about it, her acting was not bad.
Yeah, because the unit she's part of, Star Force, part of the Kree, and we're going to come back to them in a minute.
Right.
But basically, they're like special forces.
Yeah.
Their job is to go in there and do the high risk stuff. Be prepared to die when we come back out of this, or you may not make it out alive on this. So they're very disciplined, on focus, on point organization. So they have drilled this into them. So she's suppressed, and that's actually one of the key points later on in the movie is that she takes the gloves off.
Yeah,
effectively.
Right.
She decides what happens when I fight without being held back.
Yeah.
And that's like the moment of awesome. That's one of the things I really loved about it, is just that finally, and we're getting way ahead here, but towards the end of the movie, there's the line that, well, without us, you're weak. You can't do anything without us. You're helpless. You're vulnerable. You're only human.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Well, guess what? Humans do really good. we keep getting the fuck right back on up.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
You're going to knock me down, I keep getting back up. And one of these times, you're not going to be able to knock me down anymore.
Yeah.
So screw you and all your make-believe holodeck bullshit you're throwing at me.
Right. Well, and even talking about like the Kree and how they're supposed to be, you know, emotionless and they follow orders. And I mean, she was Air Force too.
Yep.
So you have to be really dedicated and really disciplined to be in the Air Force. So I think even before she became a Kree, that was already really ingrained in her to be kind of emotional. Not really as much as like emotionless, but
Be in control all the time.
right, being in control and disciplined. Exactly.
And going back to the same Air Force background, back in the 80s, to be a woman in the military and to be put into any kind of aviation or highly specialized skill set, basically the story was you had to be twice as good to be considered half as well.
Right.
Higher, further, faster.
Yeah, so that was kind of ingrained into her character, and as things came along, and that was one of her big growth points as the movie went along, is she was able to let go of all this discipline that, while on a military point, is really good to have and makes you stay focused and keeps you on task. As a hero, when you need to draw upon your full abilities and full resources, you can't let yourself be held back anymore.
Right.
You have to have that ability to basically kick ass.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah, she really does. So, I mean, like one of the biggest criticisms that this movie faced was during the trailers that we didn't see her, you know, give a lot of emotion. I think at the time that was a fair criticism. Mm-hmm. Now that we've watched the movie, we have context for why she is the way she is. So,
well, I
mean,
think
that's fair as well.
After watching the movie, I think it's hard. I think the sections that they picked for the trailer were really kind of the best ones that they could have picked.
I don't know. I would, if they would have shown that scene. They want it to be a surprise, so I understand why they didn't show it. But that scene between her and her best friend, when she's like really emotional, she's like, "I don't know who the hell I am." Mm-hmm. If you would have gotten just a touch of that in the very last trailer, we would have gotten the Brie Larson. We would have gotten reminded, hey, you know what? The Brie Larson we're going to go see in this movie is the one that won a fucking Oscar. Mm-hmm. You know, I wouldn't have minded so much if they showed those scenes in the trailer where we got to see more of her emotional depth. Because, again, you're using fucking Brie Larson. She's won an Oscar. Let us know, hey, this is who you're going to get to see. This is why we picked this talent.
Well, and I think we have to remember, too, that, I mean, this is like a...
Sorry about that.
We'll edit that out.
We'll edit that out.
Guard dog. Like, what we need to remember, like, the origin story, she has the pieces now, but she still needs to work to put them together because she doesn't have the memories.
Yeah.
And so I think whenever we see Endgame or even other movies, the next one that she's going to be in, we're going to start to see her really start to, her emotions come together and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, what's really implied, again, spoiler, at the end credit scene, the first end credit scene, we see her, she looks a little older. Her hair is a little... Mm-hmm. Scraggly, and she looks like she's been through shit. So maybe she's had plenty of time to get her shit together.
A little bit grizzled.
Yeah.
And she, the attitude, well, we're talking about that spoiler scene, or the post-credit, or the mid-credit scene.
The mid-credit scene, rather.
Yeah, it's like she basically has shown back up on Earth, and all the Avengers are gathered around like, I don't know what Fury was doing with this thing, but keep it going. Because he had a plan, and really we ain't got nothing else for Thanos. But it quit working. We can't get it to start again. And they turn around, and there she is. I'm like, where is Fury?
Where is Fury? Yeah.
And really what they left out is, where's fucking Fury?
Yeah.
Right.
PG-13, you know, and they got to keep it clean there.
Did we get any? I don't think we got any F words in this movie. I don't think we did.
I don't think so.
I don't think
Barely
so.
any swear words. I mean, a couple of shits and, you know, dams, but really pretty clean on language. This is something you could easily take your kids to.
Yeah, it really is. And they were
absolutely.
mindful of that. You know, a lot of the times whenever we see a comic book movie, we really feel like it's nerfed to appeal to kids. Mm-hmm. This is one of those movies where you didn't have to feel that way. We can feel that way about Venom. We can feel that way about, you know, we'd feel that way about Deadpool, definitely. But with Captain Marvel, that's another reason why I understand why they made this movie, because...
You think that they went down with Deadpool?
No. I'm saying that they would have.
Why they could not
have gone down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
If you made a PG version of Deadpool, it would just never work.
Well, they did.
They did it as a joke with that fucking thing with Fred Savage, which was
yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody actually see that?
I
did not. I had a friend that saw it drunk
I've had a friend that says that it's still pretty funny, but I have not seen it.
Once
Upon a Deadpool.
That's it. Once Upon a Deadpool. Yeah.
You know, see, I just soon have the full version with everything. You know, don't water something down and serve it up to me at full price.
Yeah. But see, Captain Marvel is one of those movies like Captain America where you really don't have to nerf it to tell a really badass story.
Right.
That's another thing I liked about it. But yeah, so again, this is all the spoilerific review. We can talk about everything. One of the things that I didn't mind is the way it opened. She's already with the Kree. Whenever we meet her, she's with the Kree. She really still doesn't know who the fuck she is. She's really, really dependent on Jude Law. And they explain why he makes sure that she's dependent on him.
Well, was anybody else expecting, like, because I was reading a whole bunch of stuff that they were expecting Jude Law to be Marvel.
Right?
Yeah.
And whatever it turned out to be Annette Bening, I was completely surprised.
I didn't mind that at all. I thought that was pretty cool.
I had a collective reaction of, huh. Okay. All right. We can go that route.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting. And I got to tell you, as I mentioned in the first episode we did, I was kind of under the impression that the Kree were the good guys
Yeah.
in this war.
I think that's what
Which
they were
really
trying to do,
kind
yeah.
of subverted my expectations. And when they did the twist about halfway through the movies, no, really, they're the assholes.
I didn't mind that at all.
It's like, oh, okay. This gives depth to all of these characters.
Yeah.
Now we've gone
Right.
from one-dimensional, we've gotten three-dimensional on
Yeah.
these characters now. You know, the villain is not just a mustache-twirling villain out to just undermine and just Cylon his way through the universe.
Right.
You know, it's like he wants to save his family, and the good guys, well, we're just not the heroic guys with the capes fluttering in the breeze. No, we're kind of the guys trying to oppress everybody with our imperialistic regime, and if you resist us, we'll fucking exterminate you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly. And I'm glad they did it that way. They really marketed it like, just like you said, where they're presented as sort of like a Green Lantern type group. Guys, and she's working with the good guys. And it turns out, no, they're elitist dicks. They have a very black and white way of viewing things. And the Skrull are basically being persecuted.
Well, and that's that really doesn't help her memory either, because the memories that she does have from the last 6 years of waking up being a Kree,
Yeah.
like, it's all destroyed now. She really doesn't know who the fuck she is.
That's really shitty. The reality that she thought she knew that she's been given, which is minuscule,
Is a lie.
is also bullshit. She
Yeah.
doesn't even know that. So she's forced to
Right.
reconcile with that. I thought that was all handled really, really well. What do you guys think of Jude Law?
Oh, he nailed his character.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, well, would you expect anything else out of Jude Law?
Yeah.
I mean, he, especially on the second viewing, I really kind of noticed that he's really kind of repressing his dickness
Yeah.
through all that. Because he knows he's the dick that
Yeah.
put her in this situation, but he's holding that back, and he's carefully measuring his words and his presentation
Yeah.
to her just to kind of basically manipulate her.
Yeah.
In fact, the entire movie, he is doing nothing but manipulate
Yeah.
Carol Danvers. He is manipulating her to basically as a weapon to point in his direction.
Yeah.
Just it's something that
Exactly.
he can aim. And even when they had their final battle at the very end, he's still trying to manipulate her.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
come on, face me hand to hand. Ah, screw you. I got superpowers.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck you.
I'm going to blast you into this rock 100 yards over there.
That scene reminded me of Indiana Jones. Whenever the guy's like showing off with that sword, and Harrison Ford's Indy just looks
Yeah.
at him and goes, "Fuck you," and just shoots him.
I get time for this bullshit.
Yeah. Fuck you. Shoots his
I'm
ass.
chasing my girl through the market. There's been dudes with everything. There's been
Nazis are
oranges,
after us.
machine
Fuck
guns. And you're going to jump at me with a fucking sword? Really? Boom. Fuck
Yeah.
you. I got something to do.
Maybe that's why in an interview she compared herself to Indiana Jones, because she's like, I have no time for this bullshit. You know, she's that type of character, which I really ended up liking. It was really nice to see a girl who didn't know who the fuck she was. She was trying to pull shit together, and by the end, she gets to decide who the fuck she is. I mean, that was a really cool little arc for her. As for Jude Law, I think that's what was so cool about his character, is that that's what made him so evil, and that's what made him so dangerous, is that he came in the guise of a mentor. Mm-hmm. So the whole first act and second act, and we realized,
I know
holy
what's
shit.
best for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen to me. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to make you the best version of you that you can be. So you have to listen to everything I tell
Yeah.
you, because
Right.
everything else that you do on your own, all these instincts you have, all these natural tendencies you want to do, basically every time you want to be yourself, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be what I tell you to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it was very nuanced. It's very, and until the, and he, again, even at the very,
Very
end,
end,
he's
yeah.
still trying to pull that bullshit on her. And he's, no, screw you.
Right.
I hope we get to see him again as a villain. I think we talked about this one of our other podcasts, Jeff, that too often villains in the Marvel Universe are used either stepping stones or they're too easy to beat. I like that they didn't kill off Jude Law. I think that Marvel's starting to learn their lesson that you can have these villains and bring them back to make them even more interesting.
They learned that long ago in the comic books.
Yeah. Like, I think that we'll definitely see him in another movie because she, like you say, she doesn't kill him. That might be why she looks worn at the end of Endgame, because she is, she's been having to battle him. Because now that he knows her power and what she can do, all he can do is go back to the Kree Empire and try to, become more powerful in some way that will kind of
Or
get
talk
on her
his
level.
way out of being in deep shit.
Yeah, hey, boss, she kind of figured shit out. And she's a little pissed about it.
Yeah.
So she might be coming back here to kick everybody's ass. Just
Yeah.
heads up. I actually kind of like to throw back to some of the other characters, specifically Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the
Yes.
Accuser.
He really has just kind of a bit part in the movie, but he plays his part well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it took me all the way until the end of the second viewing. On her squad,
Yeah.
and I didn't catch the guy's name, but it's the bald black guy with the
Yeah,
two laser
we
swords.
saw him
Yeah.
last night in Guardians. He's been consistently.
I think it's the same character that
Yeah.
basically I think
Yes,
he got
it is.
I think he got demoted to being a prison guard
Yeah.
in Guardians because of this screw up.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get taken off this elite commando force. You're going to be a prison guard now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's about all we can trust you with.
He's the one that actually, we just saw this last night on FX. He's the one who actually was trying to attack Star-Lord. The way they grab
Yes.
these characters who we think at the time whenever we're watching them is sort of random people, and they bring them back or use them in their origin stories is brilliant.
I love recycling characters like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it was so crazy whenever, because what was it, USA or somebody had just where they were playing Marvel movies, and so
It was FX.
FX.
FX did a whole fucking day's worth of Marvel
We
movies.
watched,
Awesome.
We watched Captain America: The First Avenger. We watched Winter Soldier, part of Thor. And then Guardians of the Galaxy came on, and at the very beginning, they are talking about the Kree and Skrull
The
War.
Kree and Skrull War.
And then you see Ronan, and then they talk about being at the Kree Empire, and I'm just like, holy shit, they really just plan the fuck out of these movies.
They're so disciplined.
All these Easter eggs.
Boy, where was one of those marathons when I was trying to get my girlfriend caught up on the MCU?
Oh, shit.
We burned through Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah, you got to hurry up and get through Netflix before they take it off.
Yeah, that's going to be on its way
she's
out.
up to speed. Well, I don't think she's seen Captain Marvel yet because she's still in Colorado, so we'll work on that. But anyways, so the way they come back to the characters, so really they were really hitting on a lot of cylinders. The writing was tight. The characters were multi-layered and nuanced.
Yes.
It was a complex story. This was not just a basic origin story. This was a complex with a lot of different things going on here. There were a lot of throwbacks and a lot of Easter eggs to a lot of MCU stuff. Really, there was very few places where this thing was not hitting on that. And then the flaws were very minimal. At least, just a couple of quibbles here and there, but really just nothing that would be a big impact on the overall enjoyment of the movie.
Right.
That's how I feel about it overall. It was a solid entry. One of the things that I liked about it, and this can also be used as a criticism, is the sense of humor. I liked it. I always said in the first podcast is that one thing I really liked about this movie is that not only is the music from the 90s.
Oh, bomb.
Which was
on point.
Which was on point, which was pretty badass.
Absolutely.
The visuals were very 90s. But like I said, also the sense of humor. There were scenes when I was watching it where it reminded me of the best parts of Lethal Weapon. When it came to the back and forth, the type of jokes and the sense of humor were so 90s. And I didn't mind that. I had fun.
All those buddy cop movies from the 80s and 90s,
Shit, yeah.
48 Hours,
Yes.
the Lethal Weapon series.
Yeah.
You just go, it's formulaic, but
Yeah.
it works.
It works, especially
Basically,
here,
this is a cop buddy movie with Nick Fury in Carol Danvers,
Yeah.
Exactly.
or Veers, or Captain Marvel, or whatever
Yeah.
name you want to give her.
Well, and that's what I really liked about their back and forth too, because I forgot they were in Kong Skull Island together.
I forgot about that. Holy
Oh, I remember
shit.
that.
I
And so-
completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so they've been in a movie together. So I thought
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it, and then I just had an epiphany of it, and I was like, well, holy shit, no wonder.
Yeah.
Their chemistry
So-
totally worked.
It really
It was
did.
awesome.
It felt natural. When it comes to some of the negative things that I can say about it, a couple of the jokes did seem kind of forced, but that's part of the sort of thing that we got with 90s humor. You
Not
know?
everything's going to hit.
Not everything's going to hit. A couple of jokes seem forced for the most part. I mean, it was okay.
I think
it was fun.
The funniest fucking thing ever was whenever she was trying to figure out if Fury was a scroll or not. Was tell me something about yourself that no one else can make up, and he talks about if the toast is cut diagonal or cut straight up and down, he can't eat it.
Diagonally, I can't eat it.
Yes,
Then he says, "You didn't really need that." Yeah, but I liked hearing it.
Yeah.
because I'm sitting there like shit. I'm the same way too. Like,
Neurotic fucking people.
And then he
here.
turns it around. Okay, prove to me that you're not a scroll. She just blasts this poor innocent jukebox.
Yeah.
Did not do a thing to her.
how
She
dare
just
she.
totally incinerates this jukebox, and he just looks at her and is like, and?
Yeah.
And he's like,
What the fuck does that prove?
well, it was like, he said, okay, yeah, well, scroll can't do that. And I know this how.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a few things that didn't really work for me
What were the things that didn't work
in
for
this,
you?
and not many. When Nick Fury lost his eye,
Yeah.
my
Oh.
reaction was, really?
Really? That was a lot of people
Really?
in the audience. We were like, really?
Of all
Oh, no.
the versions you could have gone with, you could have come up with any epic level of badassery story. He got his eyes scratched out by the alien kitty. Really?
I loved it because that's what you think. And so it just happened to be the last thing you expect is
I think Nick Fury deserves a little bit more street cred than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did too.
but I did like how he rolled with this. Like, I will neither confirm nor deny such a rumor.
About
Yeah, with
getting-
Coulson.
Yeah, with Coulson. Is it really they burned your eye out when you wouldn't cough up? And you're like, no, yeah, I will neither confirm nor deny. Yeah,
well,
sure.
you just did.
Yeah. Well, no. Let the badass rumor circulate.
I would.
I'm not going to tell you what really happened. Damn.
Yeah, who the fuck would say that I lost it to a fucking cat? No one's gonna believe the story about it being an alien cat at the time.
Yeah.
All I know is you got your eye scratched out by a fucking cat. That's way too embarrassing.
Well,
I did have a problem with that.
It's not really a cat though. It's a
Yeah.
They have no context for it. He can't tell them at the time. This is an alien cat.
And, boy, I'm going to go into controversial territory here.
Uh-huh.
I
Oh,
thought
shit.
the cat was overrated.
Oh no!
Oh.
I know. Let's.
But if you don't know
put,
that it's a
put the hate
frickin'-
mail in the comments section. I'll take it all. I understand that. I liked Fury's reaction with the cat and is all lovey-dovey with everything. I thought that was endearing. That was charming. It really kind of offset that from the Fury we've come to know over the last 10 years.
Yeah,
But when the cat just going to eat all the bad guys in the
that
hallway.
felt a little Nickelodeon
that
to me.
felt a little cliche and kind of forced.
When he ate all of them at once, it felt a little cartoonish to me. It felt like I was watching one of the early '90s Disney movies, where only crazy shit like what happened in those animated movies from that era.
Oh, even worse, something you would see on Teen Titans Go.
Right. It was that level of cartoonish.
Yeah, it was just like about a 4-year-old level of cartoon, and it just.
I mean,
Really? I mean, if the cat had just like broken bad and killed all of them in the room,
Yeah.
and then ran back to Fury, okay, yeah, I would have gone with that.
That would kind of cool to
But
actually
that
watch.
apparently this cat has like an extra dimensional stomach that can consume like about 9 times its body mass, and apparently an infinity stone.
At the same
Yeah.
time, yeah.
The other thing I didn't really care for, and again, I may be on the controversial side, the big scene we're talking about where she's going, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
All up to there were golden. On that, the scene, the follow back from her co-star, and forgive me, I forget her name on this, it just felt forced. It felt like it rang hollow. To
Really?
me. Yeah. And not on Bree's side, but on this actress's side, it just seemed like it was missing that one level. I wasn't sold about the emotion she was trying to bring to this.
I have a theory as to why a lot of people weren't sold on that. I'm not going to put it on the actress. I have to put it on how they opened up them, or how they presented their reunion. I had a huge problem with that. I'll get to that in a second. What were you going to say, babe, when it comes to either the cat or the problems that you had?
Oh, I think y'all are both totally wrong about Goose.
It's still
what
on the
else
cat.
are you gonna do with a cat that has tentacles? Like,
But it was just
is
too.
they're
it
not
was
just
so,
for show.
It was so. It was just still too cartoonish. It
It
reminded me
is.
of something from
The
Nickelodeon.
the tentacles
Uh-huh.
themselves, the tentacles and the extra dimensional stomach, you could have had still the most fearsome, dangerous cat on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have had this cat go all Yoda and just bounce from bad guy to bad guy, like the rabbit in Monty Python that would just like just slaughter 10 dudes instantly because he's that badass of a cat. But the rest of it just felt too cartoonish.
Yeah, I felt that when I was sitting there in the theater, I did feel that way. I felt that the cat, the way it took out the villains was cartoonish. Going back to what you're saying about the two actresses together, a big problem that I had, and it bothered me a lot, and I would have directed this so differently, was their reunion. It was so superficial and hollow. I wanted a scene where we see her female friend, that's the Air Force captain, playing in her garage or doing something, talking with her daughter, looking kind of sad, and then she hears Carol's voice, and she turns around, and you see that reaction in her face of shock. Slow down that scene and let me see her reaction. The way they handled it, though, with Carol just like, hey,
So,
hey, mom, look who it is. Oh my God, she's alive.
Back from vacation or something.
Yeah, like they handled it in such a quick, superficial way. I was like, you hyped up their relationship. You're gonna give us this scene where they're so fucking close that she has a box of Carol's surviving things, conveniently.
it's like, and it's just like it just rang hollow, like there was no chemistry between these two actresses.
Reunion scenes are so fucking important. I always think of things like this is a completely different genre, but the Shawshank Redemption. Whenever we see Morgan Freeman walk up on the beach at the end, and we see Andy
That's a
cleaning
powerful
his
moment.
boat, and even though it's dusty, it's outside and they're on the beach, you see Andy jump off the boat and look at him, and the camera zooms out
knows.
and they're hugging. It's like, oh my God.
My friend has found me.
My friend has found me. And you see Andy's face and you see Red's face. And it's such a powerful scene. It didn't need to be overly emotional. You see and you feel what's happening there. I felt so deprived at their reunion. It was such a missed opportunity to make such a grown-up movie. I know they were worried about tone. I know they were worried about, okay, does this fit well with a movie with a cartoon alien cat? But you still deprived me of that reunion. I think it should have been slowed down. It should have been directed differently. And I think that's why whenever she was telling Carol how much she misses her, it rang hollow because you didn't sell it to begin with.
I didn't buy the bond. I didn't buy the friendship they had. I mean, it was written and they said they were best buddies and all, but it just didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
So, and again, if that's the worst thing we can say about this movie is that their friendship, they didn't sell it 100%. That still puts it pretty solid as a movie.
I think so.
On that, and everything else was just little. I don't even really. Those were really the only two things I noticed. Because the second time around, I was specifically looking for flaws.
Yeah.
I was specifically looking for things that don't
Jeff
work.
already saw this twice.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I saw it because originally we thought we were going to be doing this a few days earlier. I had some
Right.
a little personal drama. I wasn't able to make it to the first one here, but when I saw it last night with my buddy here, and he said I was specifically looking for flaws, for things to criticize because I knew we were going to be doing this tonight. So I said, well, okay, this performance, the cat, and the eyeball.
That was basically it.
That was
what comes
it.
to mind.
I was only three things I could come up with that really didn't work for me. But otherwise, this is a solid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. But what was if there was any flaws in this movie, Max? What did you find?
I think my only criticism would be, I have two really.
Okay.
So I don't have just one. I have two. My biggest criticism would be whenever she's in space. I forgot where they're supposed to be at. But whenever she goes and sees Annette Bening and talks to her, and that's like she's supposed to be seeing the person that's most important to her, I didn't know, is that just reserved for her? Or
I think
is that reserved for everybody?
It's supposed to be personalized. Everybody who goes and talks to that thing is supposed to see the person that they admire the most, and it happens naturally in that VR world. I think was what it was supposed to be.
Well, and who was in control of that? Because obviously it was supposed to help. Like it was supposed to be where she's supposed to be suppressing her emotions, and so that was something that I was kind of like, who is like, who is the Oz behind this? You know.
Well, I think this, did the Supreme Intelligence actually exist? It did. It was in control of the Kree.
Yeah, it's pretty much their supreme dictator / god of the Kree people. It basically makes all their decisions for them
It's
because
this ultimate AI thing.
it's the supreme intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like the most advanced AI out there.
Is that not then inevitably counterproductive? If you're wanting her to suppress her memories, wouldn't you wouldn't you break the rules for her and not let it be the person she admired the most from a past life? That's kind of weird.
It's possible that the AI may not have full control over it because, again, we're getting a little fuzzy here because this is a kind of a blind spot for me in my comic book lore. But as I understand, basically the Supreme Intelligence pulls that image directly out of your own memories.
So that the Supreme Intelligence doesn't really have control. This is dictated on your subconscious.
If it's only memories you have are post crash with the Kree, it's going to pick somebody from your past. Well, supposedly you don't know who this person is. Yeah. And the chances of you being a good Kree soldier of finding out who this person is, well, we can just leave that as the mystery.
Yeah.
On that. So, but yeah, if you really want to go next level, if you're really that supreme of a supreme intelligence, maybe we put Carrot Top there instead. I don't know.
Somebody else besides the person who might help you remember your past fucking life.
Yeah. So, but well, once again, plot device. Comic books.
Yeah.
Comic books are real big on using plot devices.
Yeah. And then my second vice would be I wish they would have slowed down the fight scenes a little bit more, especially after Carol gets her, basically she takes her full power and channels it. And so I thought some of the fight scenes were a little fast, especially after watching Captain America Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier's
and it
fight
was
scenes.
a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and that's what she was doing at the beginning whenever. So the big fight scene, not really the big fight scene, but the very first fight scene whenever Carol Danvers gets all her powers and really channels them and starts to fight, they start playing I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt.
That was fun.
It was
good music
awesome.
Yeah.
But again, it was hand-to-hand combat for the most part, but it just went a little too fast for me.
Yeah, I think that the problem with that, if this was another movie or if it was outside the MCU, I don't think we'd have a problem with it. But again, whenever we see stuff like we did in Black Panther or I think the best choreography I've ever seen in the MCU, arguably, is Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
holy
the fight scenes of Winter
shit!
Soldier.
After we watch Winter Soldier, then we have these movies in such a different standard. So it's easy to criticize it, but yeah, I agree.
From a filmmaking standpoint, the hardest fight scenes to do are the long shot fight scenes where you're doing one continuous take. Yeah. Because unless you're stunt people, or in a lot of cases the actors themselves are borderline martial arts experts, a lot of times you have to film one move, cut, film the next move, cut. Film the next move, and you have to kind of splice them all together, so you end up with that kind of jumping around. You really can't tell. So really, you can tell the better the action movies, the more continuous the fight scene is, and the longer a range you get to see it from. Winter Soldier had an excellent one. One of my favorite scenes in Civil War, at the very end, where Bucky and Cap are taking on Tony in that fortress, where the two of them are ganging up and they're just kind of backing and forth.
It was such a continuous. It did not look cut.
And it wasn't. It's one and they're you can tell they're choreographing their moves together because they know they've got to. Because Iron Man's got more power than either one of them. Probably both of them combined. Their only chance of beating him is to keep him off balance. And that's what they did. And you can see they're just they're even passing the shield back and forth to use as a weapon and just keeping them turned around. Awesome fight scenes. So I don't think I may have been just a limitation of the actors or the stunt people where we couldn't have got a better fight scene. That's why you had a lot of these jump cuts like that, so it kind of felt it did feel a little bit choppy. I did kind of like the creative use of her powers, and when she's starting to figure, now that I've actually taken the gloves off, it's like, and I can find out, not only can I just blast people, I can also, much like Iron Man, I can use these for propulsion too.
I was waiting for that.
Hey, this works both directions. Hey, Newton Third's law, still a great idea, kids.
So cool.
Well,
she goes at one point, she goes through a whole ship and just destroys it.
She fucks up like 2 or 3
with
ships
handcuffs on.
She's
got these mufflers on her fist, basically, and she still takes out like a dozen guys. One of my favorite lines is, anybody know how to get these things off? No? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kick your ass anyways.
Yeah.
That was one of the lines that reminded me of something from the 90s. I expected like Donatello from Ninja Turtles to say that kind of shit. Like I really did. But again, it worked in this movie. Those lines, I wanted more of them. It was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to my criticism, that to me was the biggest criticism I had, which was, again, the reunion with the friends. You fucking wasted it, and that would have been such an emotionally important moment. And I would have believed the rest of the scenes after that between them two if you would have started it off right. Okay. I mean, the other criticisms are, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, right now as I sit, there isn't really anything that I can say in terms of criticism that I think doesn't feel shallow. Because if you get online right now, they're going to say, oh, she's an overpowered Mary Sue. Oh, the acting wasn't
not
that
a Mary
good.
Sue. Not
She's
a Mary Sue at all.
Because we've researched this, actually.
The definition of a Mary Sue is somebody that's acquired talents or abilities that they have not earned.
Right. Before she was Captain Marvel, she was already an Air Force captain, and she went through hell.
Yeah, she was already a badass growing up.
Yeah.
She'd been through the ringer already growing up. She became an Air Force pilot in an era where women weren't Air Force pilots.
Yeah.
Right.
She achieved, so she's already overachieved before the Kree came along.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then even when she was with the Kree, she earned her stripes.
She did earn her stripes. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so that was, and actually we're talking about, and this goes into the area of quibble. The CGI on Coulson looked off.
Did you really think so?
I thought the CGI on Coulson, his hair looked weird.
I didn't notice that. We actually I didn't mind it. I was telling Maggie the other time is that I don't know if they used CGI.
Oh,
on
they did. It's
Samuel
totally
L.
they
and
de-aged
Jackson.
both of them.
I'm thinking that they used CGI on both.
They did.
Was it perfect? No. Have they improved since just a few years ago when they did Mike Douglas's CGI in the second Ant-Man? Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, but it just felt weird.
His hair.
Yeah, his hair just and just his face. It all felt like he had plastic surgery. It just looked weird. And part two of that same quibble, I wanted more Coulson.
What the fuck is it with you people?
I
Agent
love Coulson.
Maybe it's because I don't watch the show. He might be a very important part of the show. Is he like the centerpiece?
Oh yeah, it's him and Daisy are the centerpiece of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, there's a lot of other. It's an ensemble cast, but really they're the main,
centerpiece.
Yeah,
that's probably why I don't have an emotional attachment to Coulson like everyone else does.
I don't watch the show, and I have an emotional attachment.
See, I don't get that. I think he's okay.
And I loved Coulson in both the Iron Mans, 1 and 2.
He's funny.
I loved him in Avengers all the way. I mean, when Loki shish kebabbed him, it was like you fucking you asshole. It's on now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even as he was dying and after Loki stabbed him, you still he had that big ass gun and he was still able to shoot Loki.
Yeah.
After he would try to attack somebody. So I mean, there's just Agent Coulson's gonna fight.
Yeah.
So
I like Coulson. I mean, I think he's an endearing character. I think that he's done really well with a guy who could easily just be really bland. He's just some agent. So that actor is probably the reason Coulson is so
Clark
awesome.
Gregg, he totally delivers it. I mean, just he really, and you get to see obviously a lot more in the series. And honestly, the series is not that good. It started off really strong, but after seasons 4 or 5,
it's been on for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to say they're up to 6 now, but I've kind of lost track after a while because it just went off the rails at some point.
But, definitely, again, I like Coulson. I don't have the hard on for him like most people do, apparently. Even the audience, like I was telling Max, whenever we saw the audience reaction, whenever he popped up, people were just like, fucking
they were clapping. They were
excited to see I would love to see him come back to the regular MCU. I don't know if they can do it or not, but I would just like to see him just come back from the dead in the MCU.
I would love to see him pop up in Endgame.
Oh, yeah. You know, while we're on that same topic here, now we're trying to kind of give past the review. Something else I would like to see. I would like to see the MCU at least give lip service to all of their various TV shows.
Man, we always talk about that. Can we get Daredevil to make a fucking cameo in Endgame or something?
Can we at least have a reference? Hey, we've got a group of low power heroes in New York.
Yeah, this guy in Hell's Kitchen did something for us.
It's just like because the MCU has totally ignored all of their TV show characters, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had to adopt for the MCU. The MCU ignores Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
All of the Netflix shows, and boy, some of them have been great. Iron Man accepted.
Yes, Iron Man.
No. Sorry, Iron
Fist.
Iron
Fist.
Oh my God! Season 1 was bad, and season 2 was like not as bad, but still real.
Her still a shit.
I am Danny Rand.
Yeah, it's like I am Danny Rand. I'm a mystic billionaire, and I still can't fight my way out of the paper bag.
I honestly
don't care.
I did not get past the first episode of Iron Fist. I don't give a shit about
You
that.
didn't miss much, man. I sat all the way through both seasons, and really,
Ooh.
no. Yeah, I kept thinking, they're going to have that moment of awesome. They're going to turn this sucker around because it's Marvel. Nope, fuck you.
Right.
So then, Marvel has had some missteps. What was that one? Was it the Inhumans? The name of the other show?
I never saw that one.
I heard that one tanked quick.
Yeah, it was a spin-off from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I never actually saw it, but from what I heard, it was a total disaster.
Yeah. I mean they aired like not. I don't even think did they even finish the first season?
I don't really know. I didn't really.
But I heard it just tanked.
I don't think it got past the
quick.
pilot.
Really?
Yeah.
God, and they hyped it up so much on ABC, and
They spent a lot of money promoting it.
They did.
Yeah, and
So,
it just did not work.
And that pisses me off more. That shows that fucking work, like Daredevil and Punisher and Luke Cage. We may not ever see those characters again, and that really pisses me off.
They're gone. Sorry.
God,
you're going to get them in reruns on Netflix for 2 years, and bye-bye. They're gone.
Such bullshit.
Well, I think they're going to take them off Netflix.
Well, if they do that, then Disney, if Disney's going to have their own streaming service, and they own the rights to these shows.
No. Netflix owns the rights to their productions of these shows. The actual shows, Netflix owns those rights for 2 years.
I guess that's why their Netflix is taking them off, because they're like, well, if we're not going to produce, we're going to deprive you of these great characters.
We're not going to keep making these characters popular for your streaming services when we're not going to be able to bank on them anymore.
Yeah,
That's right. That's what it was. I remember
it's
reading that.
so, and they've
fucking
done,
Disney, man.
And Daredevil, Luke Cage,
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones is such an underrated show.
I'm sorry, I didn't get into the second season of Jessica Jones.
First was better. What a perfect villain Kilgore was. Oh man,
he's.
I still
so
have my
scary.
Kilgore made me do it T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
So I mean, these shows, they struck chords with people on a really deep level. They had a following. It just really, really sucks. And I think Daredevil is probably one of the best. The first season, absolutely, one of the best written shows that I've come across on Netflix.
All the seasons are so good with Daredevil.
Yeah, I didn't get to see season 3. We're going to start
the
season
second
3.
was just above average.
Yeah,
Just above average. Third season was killer.
Everyone's been telling me that third season is fucking amazing.
We are so behind.
Yeah,
third season is awesome, and the 2 seasons of Punisher were both awesome.
Yeah.
This is a man who gives zero fucks.
Yeah.
He is bearing a fucks. He has
I'm
no
really
more
glad
fucks to give.
of all people that they did not nerf. I'm really glad they didn't fucking nerf Punisher.
Man, it's
God,
like
how pissed would we have been?
I mean, it's like he will kill you just because you're inconvenient.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
But he has his codes, like, he won't kill cops unless they're dirty.
Yeah.
They required to be killed. But, otherwise, he's got his own code. He only kills the quote-unquote bad guys.
Yeah.
So I would really love...
Just like Dexter.
I mean, at least lip service. I don't think you actually have to give them an appearance or even a cameo, but just at least mention, hey... we've got some riots in New York, but we've got some local operatives in the area that are going to
that'd
take
be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be
but
awesome.
again, right now, because Disney's in control of the MCU and they're going to be at war with Netflix, we're probably not going to have them give lip service to each other, which sucks.
As a great counterpoint, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Ostensibly street-level hero from Queens.
Right.
He just patrols his own neighborhood. Your
involved
friendly
in.
neighborhood Spider-Man.
And he's involved in an interstellar war right
now.
Yeah,
when shit was going down in Hell's Kitchen, when Little China was out of control, when things were going wrong in Uptown, when this vigilante was going around killing dudes left and right, where was Peter Parker?
Right.
No. That's outside of Queens. Really?
Yeah. It really sucks too, because I don't know, maybe Disney will realize sooner or later they need to understand how important fan service fucking is. Maybe they'll get their shit together the next couple of years.
You're going on to a different topic. I know where
Well,
where you're going.
This is an
with
entirely
that.
different episode.
Different episode. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, going back to our original topic, which was this movie, I always feel like I need to find more things to criticize about it. And it's really hard to do it. Again, the cartoon cat alien, and you're depriving us of that reunion of the two best friends. Literally, those are the two biggest criticisms that come to mind. And like you said, if those are the two biggest criticisms, this isn't a bad movie.
No.
This is a solid entry. I like it. I mean, if we can go down and go ahead and grade it, I give it 3 stars. I give it a solid B+. You know? I mean, it's not Captain America Civil War. Right. It's not Winter Soldier. It's not Infinity War. It's not sure as hell not Black Panther.
Well, okay. Well, besides the last one that you just mentioned, all the other ones it took 3 movies to kind of get there, 2 movies to kind of get there.
This is true. Well, I don't know about that because Black Panther stood on its own in the first movie.
Well, that's what I said. Like we're not counting Black Panther. Like I don't think you can't grade Captain Marvel with Civil War, Winter Soldier.
Was it? We were talking about where do we rank this movie
in the pantheon of MCU movies?
Yeah.
Actually, at work, I was telling some other guys today. I would put this as a tier 2.
Yeah.
MCU movie. Black Panther, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Infinity War. Those are tier 1. Those
Absolutely.
are tier 1
I
movies
agree with that.
on that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the others are bad. This just means they don't make that tier 1. Your competition's pretty stiff here. So I'm kind of with you. I actually was going with B+.
Yeah.
On this as well.
I'm the same.
Definitely worth paying full price if you can get the. But also, I don't know if you guys did it or not. I saw the 3D version. This was one of the best uses of 3D.
Damn.
Most movies, they do 3D as kind of a tacked on deal, as a kind of cash grab.
It's a gimmick, yeah.
This actually made excellent use of the 3D in several, especially the space battles.
Oh,
it made such excellent use of the 3D.
Let's watch it again in 3D.
If only someone would watch 3D movies.
I'm not that big on 3D movies, but
normally I don't normally pay the extra money for the 3D because I normally feel like I've been ripped off for paying that extra $3. It just turned out the scheduling wise, we were trying to see it last Thursday night, opening night, and by the time I was buying tickets, everything was sold out except for this 3D showing. Yeah. So I got that, and boy, it worked. It totally worked on that. So yeah, it's folks worth the extra $3 just this once for the 3D on that.
We'll probably check it out again in 3D because I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Definitely worth watching. Solid B+.
Yeah. So B+ all around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
definitely
agree with that.
That is our official grading. I give it that too. It was a solid B+. I do like the idea of whenever we're reviewing the Marvel movies to give it that sort of tier. Is it tier 1 or tier 2 or 3? Yeah. I think 3. I think we'd probably all 3 of us would agree would be
Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Wait, do we have a tier 4?
Ooh.
Damn.
Boy, because that was easily the worst of
Jeff,
all the MCUs.
I swear we're going to have a podcast dedicated for you to just explain to me why the second Thor is the worst Marvel movie. I thought that was the first Thor, but that's a different episode.
Well, the first Thor is an origin story. So in origin stories, you always have to give a little leeway because you're going to have a lot more exposition than what you want.
Now, the best thing about the first Thor movie was Kat Dennings. That was it. Everything else, I was bored out of my fucking mind from that movie.
Boy, this is an entirely different episode because now you're going to get me started on his girlfriend,
Natalie Portman. See, everyone's reaction whenever I mention Natalie Portman is universally, and it's a general consensus of, ugh.
Listen, Natalie Portman is a amazing fucking actress.
She's won an Oscar.
She was so miscast in Thor, though.
Absolutely, she cannot do jokes. Like, she can't do jokes. She does not have great comedic timing. That is not her forte.
I think it was the way she was directed in that movie because I remember even
chemistry.
I think after I watched the movie on FX one night, just because I couldn't sleep, and even though I don't like the movie, I watched it, and there was that line where she goes, "That's a good look for you." It was so bad, and I was so cringy, so forced. And see, now compared to that, as much as I bitch about Captain Marvel having forced humor, it was nothing like that.
Yeah.
No comparison. I mean, fuck. It seems like the best sitcom of all time if we're making that comparison.
I don't know if I want to do a podcast about Thor: The Dark World because then I'm going to have to watch it again. And I'm...
that's a good point because, I'm willing to sacrifice for the channel, but only to a point.
Yeah. It's that bad.
It's really
It's a hell of a
that-
sacrifice
it's
asking
just-
you two to watch
It just
again.
makes so
Is
little
it
sense.
worse than Iron Fist?
Ooh,
Listen, that's just bad. On
that's
another
one of those
level.
what if questions. Oh,
But-
no,
Go ahead.
not as bad as Iron Fist.
Okay.
Because in 2 hours it was over.
Ooh,
Damn, man.
that was a very good point.
Iron Fist took me 10 hours to find out. Nope, it sucked all the way through.
Yes. Well, I think the bad thing about Thor: The Dark World, my biggest problem probably was Natalie Portman because, like, she didn't. I just don't think that she had the chemistry at all with the other actors. But this is my thing too: is that the second movie heavily centered around her.
Yeah.
So just the fact that I didn't like her for that role, and then the second one is centered
About
around her,
Jane.
didn't like it.
It was so funny because you compare those two to the third Thor with Tessa Thompson's character, Valkyrie.
Oh, yeah.
God, their chemistry was great.
Yeah.
She was so
Yeah.
perfect in that movie.
Well, the whole movie was great.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had as much fun watching the third Thor as I did when I was a little kid watching Big Trouble in Little China for the very first fucking time in my life.
Oh, we're going to totally do an episode on Big Trouble in
We're going to do
Little
a
China.
whole episode on Big Trouble in Little China. It's one of the funnest fucking movies of all time, and we're going to make her watch it.
Right.
Oh,
This is
God.
going to be a regular upcoming feature. We're going to go to the vault and just start pulling out all those old school sci-fi
Yeah.
nerd movies from the 80s, the 90s. There's so many classic ones out there. And boy, I don't even want to start a list today, but there's a whole bunch and we're going to have coming up for you in the future, guys.
Definitely.
absolutely.
But again, so that is our official rating, guys, for Captain Marvel. This was actually a general consensus here. I didn't think all of us were going to be on complete agreement, but yeah, I think all of us give it a good B+.
Hey, it's the same as what we did in the first episode. All we're easy to please. Give me a good movie.
Right.
Give me a good story. That's all I ask for. Give me a good story.
Yeah. And we got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, and good night to our audience. I hope you two have a good night as well.
All right.